Tonight, we're covering the life and legacy of the legendary conqueror Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was an ambitious, fearless, and groundbreaking leader who skillfully unified tribes, reshaped warfare, and built the largest contiguous empire the world has ever known, influencing history in ways that continue to captivate people today. So, before we all get nice and comfortable, take a moment, if you haven't already, to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, let us know the time and location from which you are watching. Now, let's get right into our fascinating story, and we hope it helps you learn while you sleep. In the vast expanse of the Mongolian steppe, beneath endless skies, a child was born around the year 1162, who would one day reshape the course of history. His name was Temujin, later known to the world as Genghis Khan. He entered a harsh world marked by tribal rivalry, brutal winters, and an unyielding landscape where survival was a daily struggle. Born into the Borjigin clan, his father Yasujai was a respected leader, fierce warrior, and chieftain whose strength was admired by allies and feared by rivals alike. Young Temujin spent his earliest years learning the traditional nomadic ways, riding horses, hunting wild game, and enduring the bitter cold of the steppe. Life was simple but harsh, and his father began training him early, instilling a fierce sense of resilience and survival. Yasujai taught him that strength was essential, loyalty indispensable, and courage the foundation upon which a man's worth was measured. When Temujin was just 9, his father arranged for him to marry Borte, a young girl from the neighboring Anjarat tribe. This arrangement was intended to strengthen political alliances between tribes, an essential strategy in the complex landscape of Mongol politics. However, tragedy struck on Yasujai's journey home. Poisoned by rival Tatars, he succumbed to death within days, leaving Temujin and his family vulnerable and unprotected. With Yasujai gone, the family's fortunes collapsed rapidly. Their tribe abandoned them, fearful and unwilling to support the widow and her children. Temujin, his mother Holan, and his siblings were left alone, cast out into the unforgiving wilderness. Their survival depended entirely on their own resourcefulness. Temujin quickly learned that strength alone was insufficient. Cunning and intelligence were equally essential. Life grew even more challenging as Temujin entered his teenage years. Hunger was a constant companion, forcing him to fish, hunt small animals, and gather wild roots. During these difficult years, Temujin displayed extraordinary determination, gradually growing into a resourceful and courageous young man. He developed a profound understanding of human nature, its capacity for both loyalty and betrayal. The bitter experiences of abandonment, poverty, and isolation profoundly shaped his worldview, teaching him invaluable lessons he would never forget. Despite constant danger and hardship, Temujin refused to give in to despair. His mother Holan tirelessly reminded him of his noble lineage, reinforcing his determination to reclaim their place among the Mongol tribes. He began cultivating friendships carefully, seeking allies among other marginalized young men who admired his bravery and charisma. One such friendship was with a slightly older youth named Jamuka. The two quickly became close companions, swearing brotherhood, sharing dreams, ambitions, and hardships. Together, they hunted, fought, and defended their families. Temujin's reputation for courage and fairness grew rapidly, drawing more young warriors to his side. Yet Temujin soon realized that destiny demanded more from him. Borte, the girl he had been promised in marriage, was captured by rival tribesmen during a violent raid. Determined and furious, Temujin decided to risk everything to rescue her, gathering a small band of loyal followers. Against all odds, he attacked the enemy camp with fierce resolve, successfully freeing Borte and returning her safely home. This daring rescue dramatically elevated Temujin's status among the scattered tribes. His reputation for bravery, leadership, and loyalty began spreading rapidly across the steppe. At barely 20, Temujin had emerged from obscurity and hardship, his character forged in adversity. The boy who had once survived abandonment and hunger was now on the path to becoming the legendary leader known throughout history as Genghis Khan. After successfully rescuing Borte, Temujin's reputation soared among the Mongol tribes. At barely 20, he was already renowned for his bravery, loyalty, and fierce determination. With Borte now by his side as his wife, Temujin understood that consolidating power required more than courage. It demanded strategic alliances and diplomatic skill. Temujin began forming alliances carefully, choosing companions based not only on strength, but also on loyalty and trustworthiness. He welcomed warriors of all backgrounds, disregarding their tribal affiliations. This policy was revolutionary on the steppe, where tradition dictated strict tribal loyalty. Temujin's openness inspired deep devotion among his followers, who admired his fairness and vision for a unified Mongol nation. Yet, the bonds of brotherhood were not always unbreakable. Temujin's closest friend and blood brother, Jamukha, watched his rise with a mixture of admiration and envy. Both charismatic, courageous, and fiercely ambitious, it was perhaps inevitable that rivalry would emerge between them. Initially, their friendship remained strong, but as their power grew, conflicting visions surfaced. Jamukha envisioned traditional tribal leadership, maintaining established hierarchy, while Temujin advocated unity, meritocracy, and equality among warriors. Tensions escalated when Temujin's growing influence threatened Jamukha's own aspirations. The uneasy peace between them fractured dramatically in a series of disputes and misunderstandings. Eventually, Jamukha openly challenged Temujin's authority, splitting the Mongols into rival factions and plunging the steppe into conflict. A bitter rivalry erupted, deeply personal and politically charged, shaping the destiny of both men. Despite Jamukha's influence, Temujin's vision resonated deeply among the warriors of the steppe. They admired his fairness, courage, and wisdom. Temujin introduced unprecedented reforms within his ranks, distributing spoils of war equally, promoting talented warriors based solely on merit, and guaranteeing protection to loyal followers and their families. These revolutionary policies rapidly expanded his support base, attracting warriors from diverse tribes who willingly abandoned old loyalties to follow him. During these turbulent years, Temujin faced numerous battles, always leading from the front, demonstrating fearless leadership that inspired fierce loyalty. Through both victory and defeat, he learned the importance of discipline, organization, and strategic innovation. Unlike traditional steppe warfare, which relied on brute strength and individual courage, Temujin meticulously organized his warriors into cohesive units capable of swift and coordinated maneuvers. His disciplined cavalry formations and innovative tactics gave his forces a distinct advantage over rivals. Meanwhile, Jamukha continued to gather supporters, forming powerful coalitions against Temujin. The two former friends clashed repeatedly, each battle marked by bitter intensity and personal stakes. In 1187, they fought a decisive engagement known as the Battle of Dalan Baljit. Temujin's forces suffered a painful defeat, forcing him temporarily into retreat. Jamukha's victory seemed decisive, yet Temujin refused to abandon hope, regrouping swiftly and rebuilding his strength through tireless determination. During this difficult period, Temujin's resilience proved invaluable. He demonstrated remarkable strategic insight, learning from mistakes, and strengthening his bonds with loyal followers. Despite Jamukha's temporary triumph, many Mongol warriors began to question his leadership, disillusioned by his harsh punishments and traditional methods. Slowly but surely, Temujin rebuilt his forces, patiently waiting for the opportunity to reclaim dominance on the steppe. His fair treatment of prisoners, wise judgments, and visionary leadership continued attracting warriors seeking an alternative to Jamukha's harsh rule. By the late 1190s, Temujin had reassembled a formidable force, ready to challenge Jamukha once again. As the new century dawned, it became increasingly clear to all Mongols that the future of their people hinged on the outcome of this bitter rivalry. Temujin stood poised for greatness, determined not only to defeat his former brother but to unify the Mongol tribes permanently under his leadership, forging a legacy that would endure for centuries. At the turn of the 13th century, the Mongolian steppe stood at a crossroads. Two great leaders, Temujin and Jamukha, remained locked in a struggle for supremacy. Temujin, driven by his vision of unity and reform, had recovered from previous defeats, gathering strength once again. He was now ready for the ultimate confrontation. By this time, many Mongols had grown weary of continuous warfare and division. Temujin capitalized on this sentiment by presenting himself as the only leader capable of bringing lasting peace and prosperity. His promises of justice, equality, and merit-based leadership resonated deeply among warriors tired of traditional rivalries and old tribal allegiances. In 1201, Jamukha, sensing Temujin's growing strength, declared himself Khan, universal ruler, intending to undermine Temujin's legitimacy. But this title held little significance without genuine popular support. Jamukha's strict adherence to traditional hierarchy and his harsh punishments increasingly alienated followers. Temujin, on the other hand, continued to expand his army through fairness and visionary leadership. In 1204, near the mountains of Khitan, the decisive clash finally came. Jamukha's large force confronted Temujin's disciplined warriors in an intense, bloody engagement. Unlike previous battles, however, Temujin's forces were now better prepared, organized into precise formations, trained rigorously, and led personally by Temujin with clear strategic planning. After fierce fighting, Jamukha's warriors broke ranks, unable to withstand Temujin's disciplined cavalry charges. The defeat was catastrophic for Jamukha. His army scattered, and Jamukha himself fled, hunted down by his own followers who hoped to win favor by surrendering him to Temujin. Yet, when they brought Jamukha bound and defeated before Temujin, expecting reward, Temujin shocked everyone. Rejecting their betrayal, he ordered the execution of Jamukha's captors, condemning their disloyalty. Then, Temujin offered mercy and brotherhood once more to Jamukha, asking him to return as a trusted companion. Jamukha, proud yet respectful, refused, asking only for a noble death, which Temujin reluctantly granted. This act of compassion and honor profoundly impressed Mongol warriors, further cementing Temujin's reputation as both fearsome warrior and just ruler. With Jamukha's defeat and honorable death, resistance collapsed. Tribe after tribe pledged allegiance, willingly submitting to Temujin's rule. In 1206, recognizing his dominance and vision, tribal leaders from across Mongolia gathered in a grand assembly known as a Kurultai. At this historic event near the sacred mountain of Burhan Khaldan, they officially proclaimed Temujin as Genghis Khan, the universal ruler of all Mongols. Genghis Khan wasted no time consolidating his power. He implemented sweeping reforms aimed at transforming Mongol society from fractured tribes into a unified, disciplined nation. Traditional loyalties based on family lineage or tribal heritage were deliberately dismantled. Warriors were organized into tightly structured units based purely on merit and loyalty. Genghis Khan created a sophisticated communication system using fast horse messengers to relay orders swiftly across vast distances, giving him an unmatched strategic advantage. His leadership extended beyond the battlefield. Genghis Khan introduced a new legal code, known as the Yasa, emphasizing discipline, fairness, and strict adherence to law. Under this code, theft, betrayal, and disobedience were severely punished, but courage, loyalty, and honesty were highly rewarded. The Yasa unified Mongol culture, stabilizing society and enabling efficient governance over rapidly expanding territories. By uniting Mongolia under his visionary leadership, Genghis Khan had accomplished the seemingly impossible. Yet his ambitions extended far beyond the steppe. He envisioned a Mongol empire reaching across continents, bringing prosperity and order under his rule. With Mongolia united and disciplined, Genghis Khan stood ready to unleash his formidable warriors upon neighboring nations, forever changing the course of human history. After successfully uniting the Mongol tribes under his rule, Genghis Khan turned his ambitious gaze beyond Mongolia's borders. By 1207, his disciplined armies, strengthened by revolutionary tactics and strict organization, stood ready to challenge neighboring powers, signaling the dawn of unprecedented Mongol expansion. The vast lands surrounding Mongolia presented enticing targets. To the south and east lay the prosperous Jin dynasty, ruling over northern China, rich with trade and wealth. Westward stretched the powerful Khwarezmian Empire, dominating Central Asia's bustling trade routes. Genghis Khan recognized that conquering these wealthy neighbors would significantly strengthen Mongol power and prestige. Initially, Genghis Khan secured his eastern flank by subduing the Tangut kingdom of Xia. The Tanguts initially resisted fiercely, but the Mongol armies proved unstoppable. Using rapid cavalry charges and siege techniques previously unknown to the steppe tribes, Genghis Khan forced Xia into submission by 1209, securing tribute and alliances that stabilized his eastern territories and opened pathways toward the Jin dynasty. The Jin dynasty, ruling northern China, was wealthy, sophisticated, and militarily strong, vastly different from the nomadic tribes the Mongols previously encountered. In 1211, Genghis Khan boldly launched his invasion, employing clever strategies to overcome their formidable defenses. He avoided direct attacks against fortified cities initially, instead targeting smaller towns, disrupting supply lines, and isolating Jin forces from essential resources. These tactics confused and frustrated Jin commanders, weakening their armies without direct, costly confrontations. Despite early successes, the Jin resisted stubbornly, their fortified cities proving difficult to capture. However, the Mongols quickly adapted, employing captured engineers to build siege engines capable of breaching city walls. Genghis Khan recognized the value of skilled foreign craftsmen, incorporating their expertise into his military machine, demonstrating his flexibility and openness to innovation. One of Genghis Khan's most significant strengths during these conquests was his strategic genius. He meticulously planned each campaign, using sophisticated intelligence networks and reconnaissance to understand enemy strengths and weaknesses. His spies infiltrated enemy ranks, gathering information critical to his strategies, allowing him to strike unexpectedly and with devastating effectiveness. Yet Genghis Khan understood that lasting conquest required more than military might. After capturing cities, he offered the defeated inhabitants fair treatment, allowing them to retain their traditions and livelihoods if they willingly accepted Mongol authority. Only resistance was met with brutal force, serving as a stark example to others. This pragmatic approach swiftly expanded Mongol territories, integrating conquered peoples rather than annihilating them completely. In 1215, after a lengthy and brutal siege, Genghis Khan finally captured Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, the Jin dynasty's capital. The fall of this significant city marked a critical turning point, demonstrating clearly the Mongols' ability to overcome powerful civilizations. Yet Genghis Khan, always strategic, paused his campaign temporarily, consolidating his conquests before embarking on further invasions. His empire now stretched from Mongolia deep into China's northern heartland, but Genghis Khan was already considering future targets. He sent ambassadors westward, establishing diplomatic contacts and trade relations across Asia. The wealthy Khwarezmian Empire, controlling key Silk Road routes, soon became a primary focus. Initially seeking peaceful trade relations, Genghis Khan dispatched merchants and diplomats to establish commerce and alliances. Yet relations quickly soured. In a disastrous misunderstanding, Khwarezmian officials attacked and killed a Mongol trade delegation, an insult Genghis Khan could not forgive. Furious at this betrayal, he decided upon swift and devastating retribution, declaring war upon Khwarezm, determined to assert Mongol dominance decisively across Central Asia. As Genghis Khan prepared for this monumental campaign, he recognized clearly that the world beyond Mongolia's steppe was poised to experience an upheaval unlike any previously seen. His disciplined armies, united and determined, stood ready to reshape history itself, extending the Mongol Empire far beyond what anyone had imagined possible. In 1219, Genghis Khan turned his armies westward, focusing his wrath upon the Khwarezmian Empire. The prosperous Muslim state, stretching across modern-day Iran, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan, had made a grave mistake by executing Mongol diplomats and merchants sent peacefully to establish trade. To Genghis Khan, such acts violated not only diplomatic protocol but also basic respect and honor. He vowed to exact devastating retribution, ensuring the world understood clearly the consequences of betraying the Mongols. Assembling the largest army he had ever mobilized, numbering over 200,000 seasoned warriors, Genghis Khan meticulously planned an invasion designed to overwhelm Khwarezm quickly and decisively. Dividing his forces strategically, he launched simultaneous attacks on multiple fronts, aiming to disorient Khwarezm's defenders and disrupt their ability to mount an effective resistance. The Khwarezmian Shah, Muhammad II, vastly underestimated the Mongol threat. Initially dismissing them as mere nomadic raiders incapable of challenging his sophisticated military, he soon realized his fatal misjudgment. The Mongols employed lightning-fast cavalry raids, precise coordination, and unmatched mobility, striking swiftly and withdrawing before defenders could organize resistance. Cities fell one after another, as Mongol warriors used innovative siege tactics learned during earlier campaigns in China. One of Genghis Khan's most trusted generals, Subutai, led devastating attacks deep into enemy territory, bypassing heavily fortified cities, cutting supply lines, and sowing confusion. Another general, Jib, coordinated expertly with Subutai, demonstrating remarkable strategic insight and tactical brilliance. Together, their coordinated attacks destroyed Khwarezm's ability to organize effective defenses, plunging the empire into chaos. In 1220, the Mongols besieged Bokhara, one of Central Asia's wealthiest and most influential cities. After a fierce but brief resistance, Bokhara fell, surrendering to the Mongols' overwhelming force. Entering the city triumphantly, Genghis Khan reportedly declared to terrified inhabitants, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." His brutal yet calculated message resonated clearly. Resistance meant annihilation, surrender meant mercy. The siege of Samarkand followed quickly afterward. The heavily fortified city initially resisted fiercely, but Mongol siege engines and relentless assaults soon breached its defenses. Samarkand, like Bokhara, was pillaged brutally, its vast wealth enriching Mongol coffers immensely. Yet Genghis Khan, pragmatic as ever, spared skilled artisans, craftsmen, and scholars, incorporating their talents into his rapidly expanding empire. He understood the value of knowledge, skill, and expertise, ordering captives to serve Mongol interests, strengthening his armies, infrastructure, and governance. Meanwhile, Shah Muhammad fled westward, desperately evading capture. Genghis Khan, determined to demonstrate clearly that no betrayal would go unpunished, dispatched Subutai and Jib to pursue relentlessly. Although Shah Muhammad eventually died in exile, his tragic fate underscored vividly the consequences of opposing Genghis Khan's unstoppable force. By 1221, the Khwarezmian Empire lay utterly destroyed, its cities devastated, its people traumatized, and its once great army shattered. Genghis Khan had exacted harsh revenge, yet his conquest was not simply punitive. It established Mongol dominance decisively over vast territories, significantly expanding his empire westward and securing lucrative trade routes along the Silk Road. Yet even as Khwarezm burned, Genghis Khan's ambitions remained unsatisfied. His gaze extended further west, toward Eastern Europe and the Middle East. He dispatched scouting expeditions under Subutai and Jib into the Caucasus, Russia, and beyond, gathering intelligence for future invasions. These expeditions terrified European observers, who heard stories of unstoppable Mongol warriors advancing relentlessly westward. Genghis Khan's conquest of Khwarezm marked a critical turning point, demonstrating conclusively the Mongols' unmatched power, ferocity, and strategic brilliance. Yet it also signaled something even greater. The Mongol Empire had become the largest contiguous empire the world had ever seen, stretching from East Asia deep into Central Asia. Genghis Khan stood poised to reshape history even further, as the world watched in awe and fear of his next decisive move. By 1222, Genghis Khan had decisively crushed the Khwarezmian Empire, expanding the Mongol Empire's borders further westward than ever before. But the great conqueror's ambitions remained unsatisfied. Determined to test Europe's strength and expand Mongol dominance further, Genghis Khan dispatched his most trusted generals, Subutai and Jib, on one of history's most daring reconnaissance missions. Leading a relatively small but elite cavalry force, Subutai and Jib rapidly crossed the Caucasus Mountains, moving swiftly into Eastern Europe and the Russian principalities. Their mission was to assess the political, military, and economic landscape of these unfamiliar territories, gathering intelligence vital for future conquests. Though intended initially as a reconnaissance expedition, their presence sent shockwaves across Europe, as no one had yet encountered warriors with such speed, discipline, and ferocity. In 1223, the Mongol scouting force decisively confronted the combined armies of several Russian princes and their Kipchak allies at the Battle of the Kalka River. Despite being significantly outnumbered, Subutai and Jeeb showcased brilliant military strategy. Using feigned retreats, ambushes, and lightning-fast maneuvers, the Mongols completely routed the European forces, causing catastrophic losses and creating panic across Eastern Europe. This battle marked Europe's first devastating encounter with Mongol military genius, warning European powers clearly of the impending Mongol threat. Following their victory at the Kalka River, Subutai and Jeeb continued raiding deep into the Crimean Peninsula and along the northern Black Sea coast. They captured towns, devastated countryside, and gathered extensive intelligence regarding the European kingdom's strengths and weaknesses. This intelligence proved crucial for future Mongol campaigns, ensuring the Mongols understood clearly the vulnerabilities and strategic points necessary for swift conquest. Yet, despite their successes, Subutai and Jeeb remained cautious. Their expedition was exploratory rather than intended as permanent conquest. After securing significant intelligence, they withdrew eastward, returning to Genghis Khan, providing detailed reports about Europe's divided political landscape, fractured alliances, and vulnerable defenses. Meanwhile, Genghis Khan focused on consolidating his vast empire, now the largest contiguous land empire ever created. He established a sophisticated network of communication and trade across his extensive territories, using horse messengers to deliver orders, reports, and intelligence swiftly. He emphasized unity, discipline, and loyalty among his warriors, rewarding bravery generously, yet punishing disobedience harshly. This approach created an efficient, highly organized empire capable of maintaining stability despite its vast size. During this period, Genghis Khan carefully managed succession, ensuring his empire's stability after his eventual death. He summoned his sons, Joki, Chagatai, Ogedai, and Talyui, to discuss openly their responsibilities, dividing authority clearly among them. Despite personal tensions, Genghis Khan's decisive leadership maintained family unity, preventing fragmentation and ensuring smooth continuity of Mongol dominance. Yet, even as he planned succession, Genghis Khan remained restless, eager for further conquest. His thoughts increasingly turned toward completing unfinished business, particularly punishing the rebellious Tangut kingdom of Xixia, which had refused to provide military assistance during the Khwarezmian campaign. Furious at their betrayal, Genghis Khan decided to lead personally a massive invasion against Xixia, determined to teach them a decisive lesson about loyalty and obedience. In 1226, despite advancing age and declining health, Genghis Khan led his armies once again toward Xixia. His troops, fiercely loyal and disciplined, followed willingly, inspired by their leader's courage and determination. Genghis Khan vowed that Xixia would pay dearly for defying him, reinforcing clearly the consequences of disobedience within his vast empire. As the great conqueror prepared for this final campaign, the world watched anxiously, uncertain yet fearful of his unstoppable power. Little did anyone realize that this would be Genghis Khan's last great military endeavor, a final chapter marking the culmination of his remarkable life, shaping his legacy for generations to come. By 1226, Genghis Khan had achieved unparalleled dominance over much of Asia, extending Mongol rule from China's eastern plains deep into Central Asia and toward Europe's borders. Yet, one final task remained unfinished: the subjugation of the Tangut kingdom of Xixia. This kingdom had initially submitted to Genghis Khan but later defied him by refusing military aid during his western campaigns. For the Mongol leader, such betrayal could not remain unanswered. Despite his advanced age and deteriorating health, Genghis Khan personally led the campaign against Xixia. Gathering his armies once again, he marched toward the kingdom's heavily fortified cities. This campaign was not merely punitive. It was intended to demonstrate decisively that disloyalty within his empire carried severe consequences. His warriors, fiercely loyal and battle-hardened, followed without hesitation, inspired by their leader's unwavering resolve. The Mongols advanced swiftly, laying siege to Xixia's cities systematically. Genghis Khan, ever the strategic genius, employed devastating siege tactics perfected during earlier campaigns. He used captured engineers and craftsmen to construct sophisticated siege machines, catapults, battering rams, and scaling ladders, capable of breaching even the strongest fortifications. City after city fell rapidly, as the Xixia defenders proved unable to resist the relentless Mongol assaults. Yet, even amidst victories, Genghis Khan's health continued deteriorating. The harsh conditions, constant stress, and endless warfare had taken their toll on the aging conqueror. Still, he refused to slow down, determined to see this campaign to completion. His relentless determination inspired deep admiration among his warriors, reinforcing their commitment and loyalty even further. Throughout the campaign, Genghis Khan's military brilliance remained undiminished. He carefully coordinated multiple armies simultaneously, striking various Xixia strongholds to prevent unified resistance. His disciplined cavalry executed lightning-fast raids, disrupting supply lines, and isolating cities effectively. These strategies significantly weakened Xixia's defenses, hastening their defeat. In 1227, as his forces approached Xixia's capital, Yinchuan, Genghis Khan fell severely ill. Despite intense suffering, he continued directing operations, ensuring that his generals remained focused and disciplined. His sons, Ogidai, Talyui, and Chagatai, stood by his side, deeply aware that this campaign represented their father's final battle. Genghis Khan insisted they promise to complete the conquest, underscoring clearly his determination that Xixia would pay dearly for their betrayal. Finally, after months of fierce resistance, Xixia's capital surrendered, marking the decisive end to the campaign. Though victorious, Genghis Khan did not witness this ultimate triumph. On August 18, 1227, he passed away quietly in his camp, likely succumbing to injuries and illness sustained during battle. His death marked the end of an era, leaving the Mongol Empire momentarily leaderless and grieving deeply. To honor their revered leader's wishes, his generals and sons concealed news of Genghis Khan's death, maintaining discipline and order until the conquest of Xixia was entirely secure. Once completed, they turned solemnly toward the immense task of mourning and burial. According to tradition, his warriors carefully transported Genghis Khan's body back to Mongolia, his beloved homeland, ensuring his final resting place remained secret, protected from disturbance forever. Genghis Khan's death profoundly shook the Mongol Empire, yet his legacy endured powerfully. He had unified disparate tribes into a cohesive nation, transforming nomadic warriors into disciplined soldiers capable of conquering vast empires. His strategic genius, bold vision, and revolutionary leadership reshaped history dramatically, creating an empire unprecedented in size and influence. Though the great conqueror himself had departed, the empire he created would continue expanding under his successors, profoundly influencing global history. Genghis Khan's final campaign against Xixia symbolized vividly his determination, strength, and uncompromising vision, a fitting conclusion to an extraordinary life dedicated entirely to conquest, unity, and enduring legacy. In the wake of Genghis Khan's death in 1227, the Mongol Empire stood at a critical crossroads. Though the great conqueror had united Mongolia and extended its borders further than any previous ruler, his passing left a significant void. Genghis Khan had carefully planned his succession, yet transitioning leadership from such a dominant figure was challenging, demanding wisdom, diplomacy, and strength from his heirs. According to Mongol tradition, a great assembly known as a Kurultai convened shortly after Genghis Khan's death to select his successor formally. His third son, Ogidai, emerged as the clear choice. Genghis Khan had personally chosen Ogidai, believing he possessed a balanced temperament, political acumen, and diplomatic skills necessary to manage the vast empire. This decision reflected Genghis Khan's deep understanding that military conquest alone would not sustain his legacy. Wise governance and unity were equally essential. Ogidai's ascension marked a smooth transition, ensuring the empire's stability during a vulnerable period. He quickly demonstrated exceptional leadership, continuing his father's policies of tolerance, meritocracy, and disciplined organization. Ogdi expanded administrative reforms, creating a sophisticated bureaucracy capable of managing the empire's diverse territories efficiently. Roads and relay stations were established across the empire, facilitating rapid communication and trade, significantly strengthening Mongol governance. Yet the empire's expansion continued rapidly under Ogdi's leadership. He appointed experienced generals, including Subutai, to spearhead ambitious campaigns further into China, Central Asia, and Eastern Europe. These military expeditions expanded Mongol influence dramatically, securing territories as far west as Russia, Poland, and Hungary, and deep into southern China. Under Ogdi's guidance, the Mongol Empire reached unprecedented size, becoming the largest contiguous land empire in human history. During this period, the Mongol Empire experienced extraordinary cultural and economic growth. Ogdi emphasized trade and commerce, understanding clearly their importance for long-term stability. He actively encouraged merchants and artisans from across Asia and Europe, establishing trade networks linking China, Persia, Russia, and Eastern Europe more closely than ever before. This flourishing economic environment became known as the Pax Mongolica, a remarkable period of relative peace, prosperity, and cultural exchange that connected East and West in ways never previously imagined. Within Mongolia, Ogdi continued his father's policies promoting religious tolerance, meritocracy, and fairness. He invited scholars, artists, and craftsmen from diverse backgrounds, recognizing their invaluable contributions to Mongol society. This openness profoundly enriched Mongol culture, introducing new ideas, technologies, and perspectives that benefited the entire empire significantly. Yet, despite Ogdi's successes, the issue of succession remained sensitive. Genghis Khan's other sons, Chagatai, Tolui, and the heirs of his eldest son Joki, controlled significant territories, each overseeing their own khanates within the broader empire. Though they respected Ogdi's authority, underlying tensions and rivalries occasionally emerged, foreshadowing future fragmentation. In 1241, Ogdi suddenly died, plunging the empire into uncertainty once again. His passing triggered intense power struggles among his successors, temporarily halting Mongol expansion. It became increasingly clear that without Genghis Khan's powerful unifying presence, maintaining cohesion and unity was profoundly challenging. Yet, despite internal challenges, Genghis Khan's legacy endured powerfully. He had built an empire that dramatically reshaped human history, connecting diverse cultures, peoples, and economies more closely than ever before. His revolutionary leadership, strategic brilliance, and visionary policies continued inspiring generations long after his death. Across the vast Mongol territories, from China's eastern plains to Europe's distant frontiers, the memory of Genghis Khan's strength, determination, and wisdom persisted vividly. His heirs and successors, though occasionally divided, shared a common understanding of the profound legacy entrusted to them, an empire forged through unity, discipline, and relentless ambition. Genghis Khan himself had departed, but his vision, values, and achievements resonated powerfully throughout history, shaping the destiny of entire continents for centuries yet to come. After Ogdi Khan's sudden death in 1241, the Mongol Empire faced deep uncertainty. Although Ogdi had successfully expanded his father's empire to unprecedented heights, his unexpected passing created a power vacuum. His death revealed clearly the fragile unity beneath the empire's immense size and success. Mongol traditions required another great Kurultai to select the next great Khan, but this process was delayed, causing internal tensions to surface among Genghis Khan's descendants. Following Ogdi's death, his widow Toragine assumed control temporarily as regent. An intelligent and determined woman, Toragine skillfully managed the empire's affairs, preserving stability during a critical transition. Yet she also faced fierce opposition from rival factions among Genghis Khan's other sons and grandsons, each seeking greater influence over the vast territories. Finally, in 1246, after years of political maneuvering, Toragine secured the selection of her son Gayuk as the new great Khan. Gayuk Khan's reign, though brief, continued Mongol expansion into Europe and the Middle East. He received envoys from distant kingdoms, including European ambassadors and emissaries from the Pope himself, illustrating vividly the Mongol Empire's global influence. Yet internal rivalries persisted, weakening cohesion and unity. After Gayuk's sudden death in 1248, internal conflicts intensified. This time, Monk, grandson of Genghis Khan through his youngest son Talyui, emerged victorious, chosen as Great Khan in 1251. Monk proved a wise and capable ruler, determined to restore discipline, unity, and strength. He launched ambitious reforms to streamline administration, restore justice, and strengthen the empire's governance. Under Monk's leadership, the Mongol Empire entered a renewed period of strength and expansion. He authorized ambitious military campaigns, appointing his brother Kublai to conquer southern China and his other brother Hulagu to extend Mongol dominance into the Middle East. These campaigns achieved stunning successes. Hulagu conquered Baghdad in 1258, dramatically ending the Abbasid Caliphate and reshaping Middle Eastern history profoundly. Meanwhile, Kublai advanced steadily into China, establishing firm Mongol dominance over vast Chinese territories. Yet even as Monk's reign marked another golden age, challenges persisted. The vast empire's sheer size increasingly strained centralized control. Communication delays, diverse cultural influences, and deepening rivalries among Mongol princes gradually weakened cohesion, foreshadowing eventual fragmentation. In 1259, Monk died suddenly during a military campaign in China. His unexpected passing triggered intense rivalry among his successors, plunging the empire into civil war. Disagreements over succession intensified dramatically between Kublai, based in China, and other descendants, notably Arik Bok in Mongolia itself. This civil war marked clearly the beginning of the empire's permanent fragmentation into separate khanates. By 1264, Kublai emerged victorious, becoming Great Khan and founding the Yuan dynasty in China. Yet his victory came at significant cost. The Mongol Empire, once unified under Genghis Khan's vision, fractured permanently into four distinct regions: the Yuan dynasty in China, the Golden Horde in Russia, the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia, and the Ilkhanate in Persia and the Middle East. Each Khanate pursued its own interests independently, gradually diverging culturally, politically, and economically from one another. Despite fragmentation, Genghis Khan's legacy endured powerfully within each Khanate. His vision of meritocracy, religious tolerance, disciplined governance, and economic openness profoundly influenced their policies. The Mongol Khanates continued facilitating trade and cultural exchange across Eurasia, reinforcing the Mongol Empire's lasting global impact. Yet the golden age of Mongol unity had clearly passed. Fragmentation inevitably weakened their collective strength, making them vulnerable to internal revolts and external pressures. Over generations, each Khanate evolved separately, adapting to local cultures and gradually losing direct connection to the unified empire once envisioned by Genghis Khan. As the Mongol Empire's political unity faded, its cultural, economic, and historical legacy persisted vividly. The vast territories conquered by Genghis Khan's armies remained forever influenced by his revolutionary leadership, strategic brilliance, and vision for global connectivity. Though the unified Mongol Empire eventually fragmented into separate Khanates, Genghis Khan's remarkable legacy endured, profoundly shaping global history long after his death. His empire, once the largest contiguous land empire ever created, forever altered the political, cultural, and economic landscape of Eurasia. Genghis Khan's innovations in warfare, governance, and diplomacy were revolutionary, setting new standards for empires that followed. He introduced military tactics, including disciplined cavalry formations, sophisticated siege warfare, and advanced intelligence gathering, techniques studied and imitated for centuries afterward. His policy of promoting soldiers based solely on merit transformed military leadership, ensuring loyalty and effectiveness unmatched by his rivals. Equally significant were Genghis Khan's revolutionary administrative policies. He instituted a unified legal code, the Yasa, which emphasized fairness, discipline, and justice. This code ensured stability within his vast territories, standardizing governance across diverse peoples. His principles of meritocracy and religious tolerance were groundbreaking, encouraging loyalty and cooperation among diverse populations, significantly contributing to the empire's cohesion and success. Economically, Genghis Khan dramatically reshaped Eurasian trade. Under his rule and that of his successors, the Pax Mongolica flourished, a period of relative peace, stability, and cultural exchange across vast distances. Merchants traveled safely along the Silk Road, carrying goods, ideas, technologies, and cultural influences between East and West. This unprecedented connectivity significantly stimulated trade, innovation, and economic growth, creating a truly globalized medieval world centuries before modern globalization. Culturally, the Mongol Empire facilitated remarkable cross-cultural exchange. Genghis Khan's encouragement of religious tolerance and patronage of diverse scholars, artists, and craftsmen fostered cultural blending throughout Eurasia. The Mongol court at Karakorum became an international hub of learning, attracting astronomers, mathematicians, linguists, and philosophers from China, Persia, Europe, and beyond. This exchange enriched Mongol culture and dramatically influenced societies from Europe to East Asia, promoting shared knowledge that would shape global history profoundly. However, Genghis Khan's legacy was not without controversy. His relentless military campaigns caused immense suffering, devastation, and loss of life on a massive scale. Entire cities were destroyed, populations displaced, and historical treasures lost forever. His brutal reputation endures vividly in regions once devastated by Mongol invasions, reflecting the complex duality of his historical impact. Yet even amid controversy, Genghis Khan's transformative influence remains undeniable. His empire reshaped human history profoundly, permanently altering political borders, cultural landscapes, and global trade networks. The Mongol Empire's influence on later civilizations, including Russia, China, Persia, and Europe, was immense, shaping their political institutions, military strategies, and economic structures for generations. Today, Genghis Khan remains among history's most compelling figures. His life, marked by extraordinary ambition, brilliant strategy, and relentless determination, continues inspiring fascination, admiration, and debate worldwide. Mongolians today revere him as a national hero, symbolizing strength, unity, and cultural identity. Statues, monuments, and celebrations across Mongolia commemorate vividly his extraordinary achievements. Beyond Mongolia, historians worldwide recognize clearly Genghis Khan's transformative global legacy. His empire's unprecedented scale, innovative governance, and cultural connectivity significantly influenced the course of history, laying foundations for modern geopolitics, trade, and cultural exchange. His remarkable life story underscores vividly the extraordinary potential and profound complexities of human ambition, leadership, and legacy. In death as in life, Genghis Khan embodies vividly humanity's capacity for greatness, ambition, and transformation. His lasting legacy, complex, controversial, yet undeniably influential, continues shaping global history, reminding humanity constantly of ambition's power, potential, and profound consequences. Thus, the story of Genghis Khan endures eternally, a story of triumph, tragedy, ambition, and legacy. The humble boy from the Mongolian steppe, who once fought desperately for survival, rose dramatically to reshape the world forever, leaving behind an enduring, fascinating, and profound historical legacy.